The woman noticed something strange while meditating. With her eyes closed, her whole body was covered with countless hands, and they were tearing her body apart. The woman suddenly felt uncomfortable, so she looked down, only to see an ant, not a human hand. At first she didn't take it seriously, but when she looked to the side, she saw the floor crawling with ants, so she followed their trail, and came to the front, only to find they were heading to a hole in the wall. Daisy couldn't understand, so she hurried outside the wall to check, but it was pitch black and she couldn't see anything. Unknowingly, her scalp suddenly started to itch badly. Daisy still had no idea what was happening, but strange things kept happening over the next few days. She would scratch her head at work out of habit, and even while going to bed with her boyfriend at night, her hands would subconsciously scratch her scalp. Gradually, it became more serious. Daisy even tried using a file to scratch her scalp. She seemed completely possessed, until one day when she went to the warehouse to get something. What happened finally made her realize the danger. She was just digging through some old stuff, but then heard strange footsteps behind her. When she stepped out to look, all the lights suddenly turned on, and the footsteps turned into the sound of a girl crying. Could someone be in danger in the warehouse? Daisy rushed forward to check, but found the sound came from the right side warehouse.
I won't hurt you.
Daisy was horrified to see there was no crying girl in the warehouse, only ants crawling all over the place. As Daisy was confused, a black figure suddenly appeared in the mirror and grabbed her. Luckily it was just the warehouse manager, but after this Daisy became cautious. She hurried home, found the hole, and sealed it tightly with cement. But unfortunately, the scalp itching didn't get better. Late at night, an ant crawled into Daisy's nostril. She was sleeping on the couch and suddenly felt strange. The ant in her nose made her cough violently. It felt like she was about to suffocate, and then, she threw up thousands of ants. Daisy's body seemed to be controlled by the ants, but after sunrise, it all seemed like a dream. But too many strange things had happened lately. Daisy could only search online for clues, but found no answers, until a few days later while doing crafts she made an unexpected discovery. An album suddenly fell from the cabinet. She remembered it seemed to be her parents' album, but her mother died when she was very young. Yet when Daisy opened it, she unexpectedly found her mother's arms were full of red dots. Daisy quickly used a magnifying glass to look. They were all scratch marks. Could her mother have gone through this too? With questions, Daisy drove to see her father. Her father had become depressed after her mother died. He worked at a monastery on the surface, but secretly he was an addict. Daisy didn't want to see him, but now her scalp itched so badly, she had no choice but to ask him. But Daisy got no answers. She asked if her mother had any illness, but her father kept saying it was a curse. And during their talk Daisy noticed her father also scratched himself subconsciously. Daisy got no clear answer, only more questions. Helplessly she prepared to drive home, but then noticed, because she had scratched her scalp too much, her head now had red blood stains. Even while driving, Daisy kept scratching desperately. Even though she had this strange illness, she couldn't give up work, especially since she was a speaker. But that day while filming a promo, she was fine one moment, but after a few minutes, Daisy seemed to see a black shadow on the wall behind her. The lights started flickering, and the black shadow spread across the wall. Daisy fell into confusion. She couldn't control herself and scratched her scalp like crazy, as if something was controlling her body. With no choice, she was fine one moment, but after a few minutes, Daisy seemed to see a black shadow on the wall behind her. The lights started flickering, and the black shadow spread across the wall. Daisy fell into confusion. She couldn't control herself and scratched her scalp like crazy, as if something was controlling her body. With no choice, Daisy ran out to wash her face. By then the crew already knew about this. Even her boyfriend was discussing stopping Daisy's work for now. When they got home, her boyfriend questioned her, but Daisy insisted she was fine. Ignoring his concern, they started sleeping in separate rooms, but Daisy didn't relax. She built a device to tie up her hands completely, so she couldn't scratch herself. But something unexpected still happened. Late at night footsteps sounded in the room. Daisy nervously listened, and found the ropes were suddenly untied by someone. Then a black hand reached out from the bedside, and grabbed Daisy's wrist, trying to make her scratch. Daisy froze, because she saw a black monster. But just as it came closer, Daisy woke up from her dream. Was it all just a dream? She sat in the living room, unable to figure it out. Then Daisy looked at the wall. Ants were still crawling everywhere. Could the nest be inside the wall? As she swung a hammer at the wall to find out, her father suddenly appeared behind her. At first she thought he came to help, but he only brought some tea. After Daisy drank it, he revealed his real purpose. He only came to ask for money, claiming he had no food. But actually his addiction came back. But Daisy had already drunk the tea. Her head started to feel dizzy, and her father didn't care. He walked closer, saying Daisy was just like her mother, with the same cursed disease. Then he took all the money from her bag. Clearly he knew something, but Daisy was too weak. So the next night, she snuck into her father's house and found a file. It seemed to record an old news story. It looked like a woman drowned by a lake. Daisy found it strange. Why did her father keep this newspaper? As she wondered, water dripped from the ceiling. Daisy hurried up the stairs to see what happened above, but she uncovered a painful memory. Because the window outside wasn't closed, water had leaked in, and Daisy suddenly froze in front of the window. She seemed to see something on it. When she looked closer, it looked like a girl in the water, and the girl looked just like her mother. Then a man slowly appeared behind the girl, and grabbed her from behind. Daisy seemed to understand. Was this the moment her father killed her mother? Daisy was filled with hatred. She grabbed a knife. When her father came home, Daisy had been waiting. She asked with the knife, "How did her mother die?" Her father looked serious, and said,
"I summoned it."
She asked with the knife, "How did her mother die?" Her father looked serious, and said,
"I summoned it."
He said when he was in the army, he found a girl lying in a muddy field. That girl was Daisy's future mother. He saw she was still breathing, so he took her home, but later found she had a disease, and infected the whole family. Even after giving birth to Daisy it was the same. This itch could spread and be inherited. Her mother didn't want Daisy to suffer, so she tried to drown Daisy. Luckily her father saved her, and pulled her out. Daisy survived, but her mother drowned in the lake. Daisy couldn't believe it. She thought her father was lying, just to cover up killing his wife. She stormed out of his house. But it didn't end there. A few days later Daisy was about to give a speech. She shone on stage. The audience clapped. But suddenly, Daisy lost control, and rolled around the stage. The speech ended in chaos. She drove to her father's house. Now she believed him, but her father had stopped breathing. Daisy panicked. How could she escape this curse? But then, her hands scratched her head uncontrollably, until she scratched out white goo. Why was there white stuff on her scalp? Daisy touched it again in disbelief. Her scalp already had a hole, and the white goo was what she thought it was. Daisy passed out. The doctor told her boyfriend she needed 2 years of rest to recover, or she might die. Luckily her boyfriend was kind. He took care of her, but Daisy's hands still wouldn't listen, until one day she couldn't take it. She fed her boyfriend food, and knocked him out, then tied him in the bedroom, while she went to end the curse. To cure the uncontrollable itch, she modified a chainsaw. And what would it cut? Just as you think. Daisy marked her hand, and took out the chainsaw. Even though she was terrified, she knew, if she didn't stop the source, she would end up like her father. Finally she cut off her hand, but when she tried to cut the other, the lights flickered. A bad omen filled the room. Ants crawled everywhere. As Daisy looked down, the cursed monster appeared. It wasn't afraid of Daisy losing her hands. It even pushed her hand onto the chainsaw, trying to cut the other hand. Daisy realized she had to kill the monster. To end this, just as she lowered the chainsaw, she attacked the monster's arm, then grabbed the chainsaw. A black liquid splashed everywhere. The curse was broken. Because of limited footage, many shots were not shown, and many earlier parts were out of order. And at the end, the director returned to the lake. Now Daisy had a baby with her boyfriend. They looked like a warm family, but Daisy didn't notice. The baby's face had